live. I just want to say hi to everybody and welcome into the show. If you are watching us live, remember that we're not paying attention to any of those other chat outlets like on Facebook Live or on YouTube. So just give us a call directly here on the show at area code 319-527-6071. We'll be here for about the next hour or so. I know the show's scheduled for 90 minutes as a blog talk radio stream, but that's more for the recording issues in case we go over so I don't have the girl screaming at me every 50 seconds that we're going to get cut off. That's kind of why I do it that way. So again, that number is area code 319-527-6071. Give us a call here on the show and we'll get you taken care of. Now, Veretta, what do we need to know for the next week or so? Like what is a big takeaway for this coming week and what we need to know to handle it
Okay.
for this coming
Well,
week
it
and
seems to me, we're going to have a lot of status quo energy, but there are going to be ups and downs. I feel like they're isolated incidents, so that's not something that we need to really worry about or not look forward to. The feeling of the week itself is sort of a smooth sailing. It really is going to depend upon how you meet those ups and downs. You can make big deals about them if you want to, but it feels to me like they'll basically go away on themselves if they're left unmessed with. I do think that like I said, I do think that some people are going to have issues, but it's all the way around. It's a better week. It's a smooth week, somewhat.
I have to share with you something over this past week. My world was kind of turned upside down in a really awful way where, that feeling like in the Greek tragedy Oedipus Rex, where you really sort of realize, oh my God, everything that I have ever known and believed about myself is not true, that I have been doing this wrong this whole time. And so while I'm upset with myself that I've wasted my whole life in the way that I've been doing this one thing and that I could have changed it a long time ago, well, the great news is that I'm here right now, so I can change it today. And going forward, this is the only hope that I have, because I can't undo the past. I can't undo those actions. So the best thing that I can do to hope for is to correct my actions going forward. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And then I also learned about something very interesting that kind of caught my attention: neurolinguistic programming. I'm sure we've all heard about this over the years. So like hypnosis is a form of neurolinguistic programming. It's like some type of spoken word or thought that we use to I guess sort of program our minds into believing different things. Toxic positivity is a form of neurolinguistic programming. Like if you want to get into like Louise Hay and her whole affirmation of positive thought and the way that we speak by avoiding negative language, that this is a huge pillar of life and a huge way of living. It really is. It does take training because we're not wired this way. But this is a form of neurolinguistic programming, as the power of positive thought. On the extreme end, it gets to toxic positivity, to where we believe that everything is great, everything is perfect, and if it's not, we're going to bury our head in the sand and look the other way because we just can't ever look at that negative stuff because that's horrible, and we don't do that. So that's one part of it. But then on the other part of it, which is really what I didn't know about, is the neurolinguistic programming that people use by manipulation. So when the rhetoric or the word choice of somebody is so harmful and damaging that just listening to them creates this sense of hostility and anxiety within me, that like I really don't know what's going on here, but whatever they're saying, it just really hurts me. And just by listening to this, it chips away at my character, to where like the speaker then becomes like this person's avatar or their owner. And it's like it basically becomes a narcissistic abusive relationship type of thing, except we're doing it through spoken word. Like we hear this a lot, and like televangelists, for example, like these people, especially the mega wealthy types who get up there and they do preaching like that. We can pretty much assume that those people aren't really the best spiritually minded people. So we're not really too sure if we can believe what they have to say, and they usually look like snakes anyway. But the rhetoric that they use is so damaging. Like I am an awful, horrible skid mark of a human being, but let's gloss over all of that and listen to this spoken word that I'm gonna say, because your own terribleness doesn't really matter, because I'm telling you it's okay, that that if you do this other thing, that you're gonna be a better person. So that's a form of like neuro-linguistic programming, and I didn't know that. It's like light brainwashing. Normally when we think of brainwashing, we think of like a cult or something really evil and malicious. But just so much as having a conversation with somebody, if that the way that that person uses their words is charged or challenging or difficult, like sometimes I feel like I have to take a shower after I have a conversation with certain people in my life, just because not just because it makes me feel dirty, but um, the way that the information is presented is so challenging that it's just kind of like, ew, this is nasty. I want to jump out of my skin right now. So this is a new thing that I have been introduced to this past week. I mean, I've always known it's a thing out in the world, but I never knew it really had a name. So neurolinguistic programming, people would talk about that a lot, especially in the linguistics program, since that was something that I studied in college. So I was really interested in that subject, and when it's presented in this other way that's very different, that hurts people. We don't look at it that way. So that was fascinating to me. And when this news was presented, because I haven't heard that and I don't know how long. So, Beretta, what are your thoughts about that? How do we handle it when we are with or in these situations with people where their rhetoric is so charged and so nasty and negative that we can't do anything. Even running the other way is very difficult, and a lot of times, how do we protect ourselves from these people?
Well, it depends upon the relationship you have with them, really. If there's someone that's in your life on a daily basis, you have to decide really what you want to deal with and what you don't. And there's a saying that says people will treat you how you teach them to. And it's as simple as someone that doesn't realize what they're doing. And even though it's a subconscious act on their part, it does affect you. But just to give you an example, if you're in a relationship with someone, or you're in close quarters with someone that will respond to you in every way with a negative, whether they're aware of it or not, that's neuralistic training. You are being categorically told in no manner that you are unworthy of affirmation in any way. And so what do I mean? I mean, like, say you say to someone, "Oh, I think it's going to be hot today," and the minute they open their mouth, they've got, "No, it's going to be warm, but not really hot." Or, "I feel kind of funky today." "Oh, well, it's just, you need to do this, that, and something else, and you'll feel all better." Or it's your fault because you did this, that, or something else. So it's a very subtle type of sabotage in a way, if you will, because their background is such, either they are so puny and little in their own mind that they have to shut you down in every step of the way to feel good about their background. So if you're in a close quarter relationship with someone, you really have to look at that backstory. And if it starts to overlap on you, you need to find some way, if it's possible, to correspond to them not in a manner of the same way they're dealing with you, but in a manner of allowing them to understand you're not going to be treated that way, and this is why. This is what you're doing. Then if they want to fight with you about it, then game on. But you'll find that people that you are not in close quarters with that do that sort of thing to you, again, you kind of have to figure, well, they got a bitty backstory because they constantly respond to someone in a negative manner, and you do have to decide, do you want to be around that kind of feeling? It isn't something that you First of all, it isn't something that you technically can do anything about. It's got to be that individual that decides in the way they're corresponding or communicating with someone that it's wrong, and they really have to pick and choose you know what the war is. Is that a hill to die on, or is it something that needs to be fixed? The other type of sublingual training or damage is someone that will not answer you. You're asking them something, you're saying to them something, you're reminding them something, and they won't respond whatsoever at all. And that's in the damaged kind of manner that this person is trying to say, you're not worthy of an answer. You're not worthy of respect. You're not worthy of even being acknowledged you exist. So your brain starts to take that. Your brain starts to process that signal. Oh well, I guess I'm not important enough for that person, or they're just busy and they're thinking of something else. No, when it's every single time you say something to them, that is their damage trying to usurp your authority and make you feel small, because that's basically how they feel, very small. And it's a control game. It's a matter of trying to show you they're the boss, or they're more important, and they will decide when and if they respond to you. So neurological training can be that subtle, and it slips right in there and you never know until you're really conditioned overall to feel kind of crappy about yourself that it even happened. But again, that whole you teach people how to treat you comes into play, and you know, when the day is long and the time is over, you decide ultimately how much of that you'll put up with. Now, say it's a child with a parent, and a parent has been so damaged in their lifetime and as a child themselves growing up that they just shut a kid down left and right. They don't listen to them, they don't acknowledge them, they don't even consider that what they have to say is valid. And so, therefore, children grow up feeling that, therefore, i.e., they end up doing it to others. So it really does depend upon the relationship you have with someone and how you're going to correspond to them, that this in no way is an acceptable behavior. And then untrain yourself in what they taught you to think about yourself, and know that you're not wrong. You're not even different. You're just not getting the respect you deserve. And for that reason, you need to really decide whether you want to call it off, or don't. It's not a matter of tit for tat where you do the same to them to show them, unless they learn that way, literally, because otherwise you're just getting in a tug of war. You're getting in the battle of wills, and who's more strong to be able to carry out this abuse the longest. And after a while, you become them. So, and that's wrong. That in itself is wrong, because you have no right to do that to others just because it was done to you, basically because someone's doing it to you based on the same preface.
And what's
So
interesting about that is that
it really does.
when you start to turn into that other person, through whether if it's through neurolinguistic programming or however that may become, that the key thing here is to be mindful that that this is happening. That I am being attacked right now, and that what's coming out of my mouth is not usually my rhetoric. These are not my words. This is just something. This is some type of programming that I have been exposed to that is just sort of venting itself right now. Great example is this show. Like if you pay attention to the narrative over the years that I've been hosting this program, you've noticed that like in the beginning I was really a hard ass about like Western astrology is the enemy. Like we don't use signs and houses because they don't work, because that's ignorant people stuff. Like my rhetoric got very charged, and it got to the point to where I would get into things, like other astrologers, all they ever do is a single factor analysis that focuses on this one piece of hot garbage, and then everybody is suddenly playing the game. How many astrologers does it take to screw in a light bulb? So when I get into that type of scary conversation, that's just an unfortunate side effect of the programming that I have been exposed to, and I'm aware of this pattern now. Like I know that this program exists within me. I didn't for the longest time, but now that I know it's there, I can water a lot of that conversation down. And so I've rephrased that rhetoric to just say something very simply: we don't believe in that. We don't do that. It doesn't work, so therefore we don't waste our time with it. Simple, done, end. Like I don't have to go into attacking somebody to where it gets to the point where everything that they have ever known or believed in their entire life and studying astrology, that now I'm going to, just basically put them up under a battering ram and then stomp on them and then chew them up and spit them out when I am done. Like it's pretty extreme, the treatment that people would go through with me in the early days. So I've kind of subsided a lot of that conversation just because it's not necessary. So when I start to recognize that I'm beginning to fall into one of these behavior patterns that's a result of some programming or some other broken pattern that I picked up along the way, like a key relationship in my life very recently was revealed to me as extremely different than what I had ever thought before, like that this person is I perceive them now in a way that I didn't before because I didn't have that information. And because I didn't have that information, I was unable to change. I just saw this as despair and awful and terrible. But now that I've actually got the information that I can see, oh, so this other person that I'm seeing here, I see them for who they really are now. And that helps me to understand this is the relationship I have with them, and now that this is how I can understand them as a person. So it doesn't have to be all of this, gloom and doom that's stuck in my mind. So that's really completely upheaved my life this past week in terms of how things are going. So many thanks to everybody along the way, all of my counselors, and to you, Veretta, for opening my eyes to this piece of self awareness. It really is a huge thing to in this path for or in this quest for answers and truth and information. When you finally get that little puzzle piece that just somehow unlocks everything, and then it all makes sense. Then all of the struggle along the way was totally worth it because we just see things in a new light that we couldn't before. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, and the reality of it is you could have been hearing the same thing. Just exactly, you could have been hearing the same thing that I had said over and over and over, but because I formed it in a way that you could understand it, and it didn't feel like a mainstream attack, then you could hear it and process it. And that is really, what I want to say is a lot of times people aren't ready to hear what they need to hear because they don't want to know that they're wrong in what they're doing. But the reality, told this information repeatedly over and over and over by other folks, and it just didn't sink in. And so, and I had that example this week where I had to really kind of get a little hardcore with someone and tell them, no, this is what's going on with you, and this is why this is going on with you. And until this stops and it continues, you're not going to heal. It's not going things around you are not going to change because of the way you correspond to it. And it was in a manner that she could hear, and it was not a threat. It was not an attack to her in any manner. But and because I was formerly her minister in the church I had, it was something that she could listen to, and it was clear, and she could understand that she needed to stop it, and how she could stop it, and what the difference would be down the road someday if she could get past that level of back talk, chatter in her brain. So it really depends upon where you're at in your healing. It depends upon whether you're open-minded enough to understand if someone's telling you something. It doesn't necessarily have to be a slur or an attack. And if you're ready to adopt that philosophy and apply it, and and if you do and you find, wow, this is okay, then you can go on to do it permanently, changing your rhetoric, changing your neural training into a full-time healing mode, and understand that, well, if that's one thing that needed it, maybe there are other things I need to be open to hearing what else I need to know. And that can be where the healing begins. That can be where you get over a hump after you've gone so far with counseling and healers that you can't get any further. It's just, every once in a while, somebody just gets lucky enough to hit their mark and make a difference for someone. And that's what I hope for every day that I heal, every day that I counsel others, and every day that someone comes to me for my input. I just, I kind of let go and hope to God that I can bring them the words they need and they can hear that clearly.
Well, then the ability to hear clearly, that's really sort of something that not everybody can really say about themselves because so many times we're so fixated on that other thing that everything else that's happening around us, like that we just forget about that. What's really funny is when people call the show and, they want like a general reading or, they're calling to ask about any issue in their life. And then, but the real reading that we're giving them is about some other thing that's somewhat similar related to why they called, but it's not why they called. It's some other thing, like, tell me about my husband, or like, should I get a new job? Well, let's talk about how you're handling your money here. Like that's, or let's talk
Yeah.
about why you're enabling your husband's bad behavior, kind of thing. That that these are the real conversations that we have to have. And what's funny is that you can point this out in a chart, or Veretta can connect with guides, and that becomes immediately clear. Like, this is the thing that we really need to be talking about here. But they don't want to talk about that. They think that's scary because like, that's not. Hey, why are you taking advantage of me? Like, why are you being an Uncle Chester when I called in to talk about X and now you're telling me about Y? But that's not the nature of why we're here. Like, Veretta and I are here because we're going to tell you what you need to know in the moment, whether you like it or not. Our job is to relay the information. What you do with it is entirely up to you after that.
Right. Correct. Yep. Absolutely. Our job is to relay the information in a nice, calm, helpful manner. And if you don't deal with it, that you're on your own, basically, because that's not our responsibility to hold your hand while you do it. And I too have been called with, oh, what's my husband's quick story, just a little funny. One of the reasons why I didn't want to sit in a brick and mortar storefront any longer, I had a woman walk in. She sat down across from me and she said, I know I only have 30 minutes, but I only have one question. Does my husband know I'm cheating on him? And my mouth dropped and I looked at her and all kinds of things went through my mind and I couldn't stop myself. I grabbed my phone and I asked her with a straight face, I don't know, what's his phone number? Let's ask him. I was done with that type of rhetoric. I was done with that type of, ponder. And so I proceeded to tell her I don't know what, but it had nothing to do with her husband knew that he was cheating on her. She was cheating on him. And like you said, we give them what they need in that moment. And I never saw her again, of course, because I'm sure what I told her was not what she wanted to hear. And it was not something that I wanted to deal with effectively. And I really had to realize that a lot of times people are going to sit down across from me or they're going to call me, like you said, with things that really do not matter. And what comes through in that moment are things that do matter. Whether or not they want to hear, that's what's going to be delivered, because I work with spirit in a manner that whatever comes through is what you're going to get. And if it's true, I'm going to tell you I'm not getting anything on that. And that happens for a lot of reasons, but it does make a difference how you tell them what they don't want to hear, and whether or not they're willing to accept it is really not your responsibility, because you're not here to hold their hand and walk through the fire with them. You're only here to relay information that they may or may not get and they may or may not apply. But either way, any way you look at it, that part's not on us.
On that note, actually, we have Nancy here from area code 541. We're going to catch up with you right now. Let me go ahead and unmute your line. Hi, Nancy. You're on Celestial Intersections Radio. Let me just pull your chart up here. Do you
Well,
have a question for us
hi.
today, or
Hi,
would you like a general reading?
well, just first of all, I really enjoy your conversation, and you sharing your soul growth is just amazing. It really helps everybody.
Well, it's
Just to
great to
let
hear
you
that.
know.
That's part of, that's something that I learned in the counseling process. That I was that part of what makes a lot of the growth process so much easier is when the person who's kind of guiding you through this exposes part of their own humanity. Like when it's like, if I'm going to
Exactly.
look for somebody who specializes in addiction counseling, what is their personal background and issue with vices? Like what knowledge do they have for me? If it's just somebody within a clinical mindset with, cold hands and blue gloves kind of thing, yeah, I don't want to work with you. Like, if I know that the person that's helping me along the way has messed up and has already been there, then, then that helps me to connect. That creates empathy, that establishes trust. So that's kind of why I do that. Now the flip side of that, where it gets really interesting, is how much do you share? Because as somebody with limited social skills,
Uh-huh.
oversharing is sort of where I kind of get into trouble. So that's why I always tell people my safe word is avocado. Please throw that at me when I go too far.
Oh,
Shoot.
yeah, but but being transparent is really a difficult thing to do, and you do it admirably. So,
Appreciate the kind words, Nancy. So, did you have a question for us today, or did you just want to did you just want to look at your chart at a general sense?
I would, this time, instead of asking a question, I just want a general reading on maybe what to focus on in the next few months. And I'm open to anything.
Okay, all right, Veretta, what you got?
Okay, let's see what we got for you, Nancy. Going on, Nancy. Okay, so not a lot of red flags pop up. I'm getting a lot of status quo energy that may or may not be good, especially if you're hoping for big change. It's a soothing, it's a calm, it's relatively no sweat type of information that I'm going to bring through today. I feel like there may be a lot of option for you. I want to say there may be even option for big ticket purchase items, and that in that shopping, take time to make sure that you're getting whatever you want for the value that it really is, truly is. I feel like whatever this is, if you went in and just said, "Oh, I like shiny, give me shiny," you could get sold a bill of goods. It would not be okay. I feel like also at the latter half of, let's say, 6 months, you may hear from people that you had no longer been talking to, or they had no longer wanted to communicate with you. So you may have a reconnect, or a reconnect with somebody that had been gone a long time, or maybe they're not gone, but it's just not okay. That the conversation, that communication between you, the relationship itself was maybe shaky or on the rocks. So I feel like that's going to be the beginning of a new trend in your life in that way. I feel also there's going to be a lot of healing for you, whether it's physical or emotional, mental. I'm thinking a little bit of both, but I feel like whatever it is, at the end of you're all healed part. You are really okay. You're okay with whatever's been going on. And I feel like then the worry or the fear part on your end would be over, because you're no longer needing to worry about whether it's going to keep going on or it's coming back, or, it creates pain, whatever that is. I feel like also in the next 6 months, you may meet new people as well as the people that you're reconnecting with, and that could be possible, like real close knit relationship material. So I don't really get a lot of anything negative. I'm really, like, thankfully looking at all the feelings, and the feelings suggest that you are going to have a pretty smooth, easygoing, maintenance filled, but still not really shoving a rock uphill kind of energy this next 6 months. And that for me feels like it'll be okay. It'll be good. I don't feel like you'll have, I think you do have some awesome opportunities coming, more than one, as a matter of fact. And I feel like that for you will be very significant. What do you got for Ernesto? I see you got a good chart
thank you.
going on.
Yeah, Nancy, I know you're retired, right?
Right.
Are you it's really funny because you're retired, but I'm looking at your chart right now, and it's like, I want to say you're going to go back to work, as crazy as that sounds, in an independent sort of way. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what sort of, like, ideas or things you've been presented with recently. But, like, there is something here self-employment related that you're going to be quite successful at. Maybe Veretta has some more insight on that. And it's going to involve travel. Travel, commerce, or, groups of people. So, this could even be like, at a very basic level, to be like a Tupperware salesperson or something like that. Pampered chef kind of stuff, like traveling, getting people together, like having fun, doing sales, like I just see that you're going to end up going back into something like that. And you're going to have some success with it. I mean, I'm not condoning necessarily like multi-level schemes kind of thing, but you're going to have some type of opportunity to make money that's going to be coming up. I don't want to say it's going to be work related, like job necessarily. This is more like one of those things that I just do for fun because I enjoy it. So I think that that's going to be a
Mm.
major focus for you, and that this is absolutely the time to be searching out those types of endeavors. Veretta, do you have anything else on that? Because it's not showing me
I think.
specifically what that refers to.
I agree with that. I do believe it'll be something like Avon or something where you are meeting people. And I do feel like that probably is what's going to enable the big ticket or the big purchase items. So it's something that will be presented to you. And typically, I think, Nancy, you probably think, no, I don't really want to do that. I think this time, though, whether it's because you're getting information that will end up positive or because you get a hit from the right person, that it'll be really easy and a lot of fun, that you're going to take it. And it will be something that will benefit you in the long run. I do believe traveling also is part of this, whether it's due to the position or the networking or whatever itself, or because it's a byproduct that you have now the money to go travel. I don't know. But the feeling is, yeah, it's definitely connected to the travel and the meeting with people that I saw.
Fan-
And
Fantastic. I love traveling.
and the reason you're having this experience is because um, at a soul level, you need to grow. You need to have new experiences, and I think that's going to be travel related.
Hmm.
So that's why this path is being presenting itself to you right now. That you can get out there and meet new people and to make some money and to travel, because that's something that your soul is really wanting right now, or your spirit is to expand and to see new sights and to get more bucket list kinds of things done, I guess. That's always been a thing for me. Like, I have no idea the direction of the world that we're heading in right now. It's not looking very great at the moment. So, if the meteor strike really does come like the way I hope it does, I want to be prepared for when that happens. So I like to try to knock out all of this bucket list stuff now while I can.
Yeah, just follow the bucket list. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
So
see that. I'm really open to growth. So,
yeah, I really feel like that this is going to be a year for some travel, commerce, money. I think it's going to be a nice year for you, and that's going to open up some new connections to people that you've never really had before. So it's gonna add a dimension of your life that I think you didn't know that you really wanted.
Yeah, would agree with that
well,
100%.
oh, thank you. Something to look forward to. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, Nancy. Be
You're
sure to give
welcome.
us a call back and let us know how it turns out. And yeah, keep an eye out on those types of job deals, kind of thing, and you really keep it more
Okay.
self-employment related. Anything that is an actual schedule where you have to go in, kind of thing. That's not the type of thing you're going to look for, because
No,
that doesn't
that's
appeal to
not
you.
for
You want
me.
stuff where you're in charge and you can do your own thing.
You got it. Okay. Well, thank you again.
Well,
Have a great day.
thanks a lot. We'll catch you
You
soon.
too.
Many blessings.
Okay. You too.
Okay, so Veretta, now, do spirit guides speak different languages? What or
Of course.
what language does a spirit guide speak? I guess because I have this experience to where I connect with people like who speak, let's say, Spanish as a primary language, and like sometimes like I get contact in Spanish, which is very weird because that's not my native language, but it happens anyway.
So spirit guides are going to talk in a language you can understand. And a lot of times, if you get someone that's coming through in a language that you maybe could understand, but you're not, like rusty or whatever, that's usually because it's someone else's primary guide and they're coming through in the primary language they would speak. So your example would be, maybe this is dad's guides coming through giving you information. And because they're used to talking to dad in Spanish, they're not shifting that platform for you, and they're wanting you to know, they're wanting you to identify that it's dad's guide because he's speaking in Spanish. So then, you can when you're paying attention to what they're saying, you can understand that that's where it's coming from. Guides won't talk to you in any other language than what you can understand if it's your guide. And so here's the little bit of rub to that. Some people will swear they're hearing different voices, different languages, and that starts coming through, and that's okay. It happens, but that's more of you channeling them, not necessarily that they're your guide. And so therefore you may or may not know the information. It may or may not be a platform information that we understand on Earth. There could be so many types of languages that you can channel that will come through in a manner that you do or do not know. But if it's something that is specifically meant for you, it's going to be in a language that you can understand.
Well, I mean, you and I probably even have this experience quite often, like that you and I both kind of belong to the same soul family. We've taken a look at that before. And so because, like my work with Uranian Astrology and, you're basically tuned into the same soul group. So, which is why we come up with the same information every single time, so it's interesting that, like when you and I work together and then we have this experience of, like you're picking up something that I can find in a chart, and then I can fill in the store for you, and then you can validate that the information I'm receiving is true because it helps to fill out what you were getting in the first place. It's just interesting how we have that, play between each other, and that those spirits, that information is expressed in a way that we can both understand.
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of times you'll recognize your soul tribe based on their choices and interests and what comes through, and know that they are resonating at a level that you understand or that you're on. And, you can identify them as such, even if it wasn't somebody you even thought remotely close, that you wanted to have get near you. And you find out, oh, well, we're in the same class together. So I guess I need to maybe pay attention and listen.
I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, give us a call here on the show. We're here until 11 a.m., and that number is going to be area code 319-527-6071. We have a new caller here from area code 510. We're going to get off here to you. Hi, you're on Celestial Intersections Radio. May I have your name and date of birth, please?
It's Aaron, 11/22/1980.
Aaron, have I read you before?
I think you probably have.
That's kind of what I thought. Yeah, because we don't get many guys on here, so I always remember those details. Let me see if I can find you. Yeah, I do. So you were born 11/22 at 10:21 p.m.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yep, I got it. So perfect. Now, Aaron, would you like a general reading, or do you have a question for us today?
Well, yeah, I do have a I do have a question.
Okay, what's up?
About my spiritual practice. I've been kind of, I would say, lackadaisical about my studies, though there were 3 things that I really wanted, but they didn't come to fruition. So I guess my mind is saying, let's kind of fall back on this and wait, or not do it, or just study and just read just for the sake of knowing rather than practice. That would be my question, if I should continue or attempt to continue.
Okay.
And I guess aside from that, general reading about what's going on.
Okay, all right, Verda, what you got?
So let me just make sure you're wanting to know if you should continue studying this issue or this topic as if you were going to apply it in the future, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Answer's no. I'll just tell you straight up, short line, no. It's something else that you need to be looking at. This is a stepping stone for you. It's supposed to get you to the next level or the next topic of your studies, and that's what you need to follow through on. So it's not something that you should quit studying, but it is something that you should look at as, I need this information so I know what I'm doing when I get to the next level. I need this information because it's the backstory of what else I need to know, and that's what I'm going to apply. If you're looking at doing something at just a mainstream level, like what you're looking to do is what everybody else and his brother wants to do, then that's where it's tripping you up, because you're meant to go into a little bit of a specialty or create a little niche for yourself where you're doing maybe a lot of the same thing, but you've got your own angle. Like Ernesto does with astrology. He's not doing mainstream astrology. He's got a special level doing Uranian astrology, which, you know, it probably was helpful for him to know a little bit of the aspects from Western astrology, but it's not what he does. It's not, you know, what he applies. So I feel like the same thing for you is a standard that you need to continue on with this course of study, but flip your mind from this is the end all be all to, okay, I'm looking for what I need to know in the future through this study. And that's where you're going to follow it through. Now, down the line, is it going to turn out the way you want it to? No, even that's going to be different because it is something that you hadn't considered before. It's going to be something that, you know, where maybe you were hoping to just get a bachelor's degree and, like I said, just do this little thing for the rest of your life. And the reality of it is you're supposed to get a PhD and take it to another level, and you're not going to stop until you get there. And nothing else is going to come to fruition until you get there. So there does seem to be a little bit more that you need to know. And whatever it is that you're doing now needs to be finished or at least followed through on until you get to that next level. So I don't know if it's actually going to be a completion that the angle is going to be for this topic you're on now, or if it's, like I said, just till you get to the next, you know, what you need to do, idea or aha moment, and follow through in that. Does this make sense to you?
A little. I mean, I wasn't trying to do anything mainstream. There was very little, if anything, was mainstream about my studies. For example, I love cats. I don't see myself tearing a cat apart just for its fur to make a coin purse out of it, or using a cast iron pot to make a genie with horsehair. Like, I'm not willing to go to like those far extremes. But the things that I really wanted, the attempt and the profile, or the attempt to do so, to make other things come into fruition, was very difficult. And they weren't as extreme or the measures to get there. And I'm just like, why is this not happening? Or why is it taking so long?
Yeah. So I just know that whatever it is you're doing will bring you to the next understanding of really what you're meant for. And so, you know, using your cat analogy, if you were just say maybe you're really just trying to find out how to work with cats, and the reality of it is you need to work with animals, period. And it's not just cats, it's something, you know, a little bit more so in the arena of what you're wanting to know. Ernesto's got some stuff up for your chart, so maybe he can give you a little bit more detail and help you understand what your next steps are. Ernesto?
Yeah, so Aaron, taking a look here at sort of what's going on, I'm going to start more with the general reading because I think that that's going to lead more into what you're wanting to know and why you called today. So the thing that, you know, if I'm going to use your cat analogy, let's go with that for a moment. Like whatever it is that you're dealing with in your life that's kind of creating this rift in your subconscious process, or however you want to phrase that, the big thing how you're really going to benefit from all of this is just going to be very simply, I'm not doing that. You know, like that is beneath me. That is messed up. That I just won't touch. Like, no. You know, like by you creating the energy of saying, I'm going to do the right thing here, even though I may have to miss out a little bit because I'm choosing to do the right thing. By me establishing some boundaries and doing that whole process, then that's going to I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to trigger a move. I think a move is actually coming to you very soon. Have you moved recently?
Yeah, you mean move again? You mean like places to live move?
Yes, right. So have you just gone through that process?
Yes,
Okay, all right. How long ago did you move?
this past summer.
Okay, I think that there's going to be another one coming again. That's just going to be the result of some clarity that you get in this whole process of you doing the right thing and saying that I'm not doing that messed up stuff or whatever whatever poison or cancer is in your life. By you saying I'm not engaging with that, it's going to give you a sense to where you realize that hey, this is the direction that I'm really headed in. Or like I saw this, you see a listing for something that looks too good to be true, but it really is actually true. And it's one of those things that it's only good in that particular instant or moment. It just kind of stands out to you and you go with it. It's one of those types of things that's going to show up to you, and that's going to be the what's going to trigger the move where it's going to be fast, but I think you're going to like it, and because it's going to also the side effect of that is those circles that you see on my screen, um, and that has to do with the you getting really good at something, like you being a master at something, as Veretta was saying, what am I doing that's different that, than everybody else? I don't think it's so much an issue of being different. It's just being good at something, like to be a master at it. Because what happens is if you spread yourself out in too many different directions, then you're not good at anything. Like I had this problem when I first started out was, like I was using like 4 or 5 different modalities or tools when I would do a reading. And it was just like, why am I doing all of this? I'm not good at any of them. So I just kept what was good and then I dropped everything else. And I think that that's going to be sort of an issue for you too, is realizing like you're going to have all of this information that's thrown at you that says, well, you can do this class, Aaron, you would really benefit from it. Or, you could really benefit from this other training that we have to offer you here. But, like it really just doesn't help you because that's not like you focusing on being a fish restaurant and nothing else. You want to be the damn best fish restaurant in town, and that's what you're going to focus on. So, like, it's that type of thing to have that narrowness that's associated with the craft. That's going to get you really, really good at it, and then that's going to be where you're going to get the reward that you're looking for.
Okay. Two quick questions. How
Okay.
soon am I moving, and where is this money going to come from?
Okay, Veretta, what you got on that one? I have to look at this one for the timing.
Well, moving, I think is going to be this summer. I think around the time your lease is up or whatever it is, the time frame that puts it at the year mark for where you moved from last year into. Um, Money is going to, I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm going to say you'll have only exactly what you need to move. Um, like down to the penny or dollar. So I don't think it's extra money. I feel like it's maybe something borrowed or may come from something, a trade or what you've let go of. I'm not quite sure, but
A
you'll
friend.
have the money, but just enough. And I do believe it'll be this summer.
Mm.
You still looking around still?
Yeah, so I think that the money is going to be from a friend, and the summer timing, I do agree with that one also. And it's going to be, it'll be just what you need, but it's not going to be like you have to worry about whether or not you're going to pay your lights kind of thing. Your basic necessities are going to be met, but it's not going to be like champagne taste on a beer budget kind of thing. Like nothing fancy like that. But you will get by. That's the main thing and most important. And it'll set the stage for what needs to happen in the future, which is just right for you.
Mm. Okay. Well, all right.
Well, it was great to have you on the show, Aaron. Really glad that you gave us a call back. Be sure to give us a call back in the future and let us know how it turns out.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll catch up with you next
Thank
time.
you.
Take care. Many blessings.
All right. Bye.
Okay, so Veretta, we are going to go ahead and close out the show. I know we're a few minutes early today, but if we don't really have time to take another caller at this point, so we do want to thank all of our guests for coming out today and joining us here on the show. It is always great to have you. We will be back with you guys on Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. That's going to be on Wednesday the 8th. That'll be, again, here on Blog Talk Radio or eastrologer.tv. For all other things Uranian Astrology, be sure to check out eastrologer.tv, and you can find Veretta at verettavision.com.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great week, everybody. We will catch up with you guys real soon. Many blessings, good luck, and Godspeed. Until next time.
Bye bye.